What's up, Arrowheads? Welcome to the Arrow Recap Show here on Collider Video. I'm Ann Campea, and I'm so happy to be back talking about Arrow Season 4, Episode 15. I think it's appropriately titled this week, Taken. And I am here to also introduce my co-hosts, starting with Josh Macuga to my right.
Do I start with?
Yeah.
Give me back my son!
And Michael Medina.
Hey guys, nobody knows about my son except for Barry and Malcolm. I think Thea knows about him too, so pretty well kept secret.
And Jason Inman.
I have developed a serious set of skills that I've developed over 5 years of hell on a hellish island. So.
I don't know about you guys. I was waiting for Liam Neeson to come out at some point in this episode. No?
He's like, let me call a friend.
As the real Ra's al Ghul?
Yeah, exactly.
So for those of you who are caught up and watched tonight's episode, we're going to talk about the positives, negatives, go into our predictions for next week, as well as take your Twitter questions. So make sure you continue to tweet us using the hashtag ColliderArrow. Let's start with what we liked about the episode. I know the episode was, very much driven on the fact that William, Oliver's son, has been taken. And like Michael mentioned, maybe 90% of Star City knew who William was, except for Felicity, Laurel, and Diggle. So I don't know. What'd you guys think about that?
I liked it, but I felt like Felicity was a bit of a punching bag in this episode. She kind of got screwed over left and right. But I mean, I liked the episode. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I thought it was okay. It wasn't as strong. I was waiting for that moment, like, give me back my son. Yeah. That intensity coming from Oliver. Didn't quite see that. Mom, on the other hand,
she had it.
Jeez. She had that moment once or twice.
Yeah, me too. Like, I know I missed you guys last week. I totally missed you guys, by the way. And I was able to catch up.
Were you searching for William?
I was searching for William.
Were you helping me find my son on Twitter?
I took him.
Good.
At the same time, I'm also Zoom, so there's a lot of things going on while I'm gone. Wow. But I think, one of the things that Michael pointed out is it wasn't a great episode, but I feel like between now and when we get to like episode maybe 18, because we're on 15, I feel like they're fillers, kind of just progressing the story, but not too much, because maybe they're saving that for the finale.
I didn't have as much of a problem with this episode as you guys did. I actually thought this episode was solid, and the only weaknesses of this episode, was what you talked about, was all the Felicity scenes. I thought the action scenes were great. I think we're 2 weeks in a row. Like, the big thing we talked about last week was how awesome the opening sequence was before the credits. I thought this one did the same thing. Like, we got a pretty good, Darhk coming out of the dark and being like, ha ha ha, I'm the villain, and then dun 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 dun, and you were like, yeah, let's do this. I thought the in-action scene was good. And
action was really good.
Yeah, and VIxen killed it, I thought.
She was great. Yeah. She was awesome. I'd love to see her as a member of Team Arrow in the future.
Definitely. Josh?
I mentioned when we were watching it that the VIxen stuff was sort of like the Harry Potter Patronus charms. Like every time, and we were watching it and the Sex Panther noises and then the
Sex Panther.
Gorilla. I loved that stuff. That stuff was super cool. I think the whole episode, hunting down Oliver's son and figuring it out, and then Oliver basically telling the rest of Star City that he's the Green Arrow, all really fit in well. I really actually enjoyed this episode. It went by really quick.
Yes.
And I really thought that the really great part of this show, which I don't think that Felicity hit on, was that what she should have been like is, I didn't really think about us having kids and the fact that if I do have a kid and he gets kidnapped, I'm going to be in Samantha's place. That's what I thought she was going to come back with him at the end. It was like, I don't care about you not being honest with me. I need to think about this, being with you and making a family with you, if that's even possible to do.
That's a good point, but I just think with everything she's been through since season 1, I think she's accepted that, because with Diggle having his daughter right now, and she sees what he's had to go through, and he's even said that he's fine with it because he knows where she's at, So I would assume that she's fine with it. It's weird because I think we've talked about Felicity in the past, how she's a little hot and cold with Oliver. One minute she's totally on board with this lifestyle, then the next she's like, oh, maybe we should take a few steps back. I changed my mind. I'm all on board now.
Well, it's that was set up from the first episode in the season where you found out that Oliver was like, hey, I'm cool with having mimosas, and the Felicity is like, I've been hacking behind your back. And you're just like, what the hell? What's up with you, Felicity? And that's, again, for me, was the weakness. And I know we shouldn't get talking about bad. We should talk about the good of this episode. That was the weird thing, again, this episode was I thought every choice that Felicity made was weird in this episode.
It has been since they introduced the sun, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything that they've had Felicity do in this show since the introduction of the sun makes absolutely no sense to me.
Really?
You got to be an understanding person at this situation. This is unlike anything else. He had a son. The woman made him keep it a secret. He's the Green Arrow. People keep trying to kidnap everything that's around him. He has to have something that's sort of a secret. And the fact that Felicity is freaking out about this, it's not like he's cheating on her. It's not like he's going behind her back and being like,
Well, the bouncing off of that is, I think, and I totally agree with Josh, is I think what Josh is trying to explain is that she's accepted way more weirder stuff.
Yes.
And for this very simple thing, for her to be like, no, I'm out. Like, Oliver literally betrayed the entire team. Remember, we spent like 6 episodes of Diggle just being like, I can't talk to you, man.
Yep.
I can't talk to you. You betrayed me. You betrayed me. She was able to let that go, but this is where her line is drawn.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing for me.
Being the only female on
I was just going to say, from a female perspective.
Maybe it's different. Maybe it's different.
I actually didn't read it that way. Honestly, I think maybe it's just an accumulation of things that have happened. It's not maybe particularly this is probably what set her off. But for me, what I was inferring from everything that's going on is that you've lied to me too many times, not just this one time. And, you had the opportunity to tell me and you didn't. And so I felt sympathetic for her. I could understand where she's coming from. And personally, I don't think that this is the end for them. I've seen them break up and get back together above other issues that they've had to deal
Can I ask a crazy
with.
question simply for the fact that I don't remember? In the crossover, before Barry reset the timeline, did he tell her? Because remember,
Yes.
he
Yeah,
did tell her,
she-
and she broke up with him.
Yeah.
And now in this reality, he doesn't tell her, she breaks up with
Yeah.
him. So it was bound to
Lose-lose.
happen
Yeah.
no matter what.
Catch-22.
Yeah, okay.
No,
I
that's
just
a good
wanted to
point.
check that. Yeah.
No, I mean it's tough, right? Because Felicity, like you said, Felicity kind of just has been shit on. I mean, from being in the wheelchair, and being disabled, and now having to deal with learning that your future husband has a son that you didn't know about. There's just a lot going on between them, and so I think it was appropriate for what had happened tonight for her to just be like, it's over. And so, speaking of like positives, though, we see that the piece of tech that Curtis gave her works at the end of the episode, and it's almost bittersweet because Felicity is walking again,
She walked
yet
right
we
out that
can't
door.
enjoy it because she's
She walked right out that door.
literally walking out the door.
It was quite awkward. It was cool, but it
Yeah.
was awkward.
Kind of like an
Wait.
R2D2 moment, like from Force Awakens,
Yeah.
just conveniently at the end of the episode, just kicked on.
Yeah.
All right.
It's almost like a great moment was missed because of the drama that had just happened right before.
Well, I
it.
was going to say that I thought that scene was amazing up until Felicity walked, because Stephen Amell's performance of that monologue that he was giving to
Really
William
well done.
was great.
Yeah.
And then
It
they
was.
did the thing that Arrow used to always do every episode, was play a little bit of that soft music
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then show the
Montage.
other characters. We always used to have a montage.
It's like the end of every Sons of Anarchy episode.
Yeah.
It's the same
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
They
good point.
always end
And
it
that
in a
montage just hits you with that emotion.
Yeah.
And again, when they did that, I was like, there you are, Arrow. I
Yeah.
missed you, buddy.
And I know how to save a life. And you're like,
I will say Stephen Amell's acting has improved with every episode, right?
Yeah,
like
totally.
his emotion
Agree.
really comes across. But there were a lot of heartwarming moments in this episode. I think there was that moment. There was the moment that I actually felt a little, bit sad for, was the moment between Malcolm and Thea where they had to break up. There was a voice of reason, VIxen and Oliver, VIxen giving Oliver the speech of how
VIxen was
she's been a
kick-ass, man.
foster
She was
kid child.
great.
Yeah,
VIxen
there
was
was a lot
awesome.
of good moments in this episode.
And if you guys have not watched that animated cartoon that they did on the CW Seed, it's free to watch. There's like, I don't know how many episodes there are, but all of them add up to about 30 minutes of your time. They're in continuity because Arrow shows up on it, and actually they're fantastic. And the actress that was in the episode is the
Voices.
voice of her in that show.
I love that they did that.
Yeah. I actually, to be honest with you, from this episode, I'm ready for next season them to announce VIxen.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
it. Make the
Oliver's
VIxen show.
Getting kind of funny with his little jokes. His last week, like, "Oh, Curtis, you're terrific," or this episode, he's like, "Oh, we had an animated run in last year," or something
Yeah.
like that. Like, wow, he's on point.
Yep.
I really thought that a nice little moment between Captain Lance and Laurel.
Oh,
And
right.
then they showed at the end, but then, she's like, I knew Oliver was cheating on me. Well, everybody knew. It's like a freaking soap opera.
Well, that gave Lance quite possibly the greatest line of the entire season.
Yeah.
Where like knowing Oliver Queen, I bet there's a whole little army of Oliver Queens out there. We're just like, oh, that's great.
And
But was the Laurel scene a little weird to everybody? It was weird to me that Laurel's...
Why?
Like, it doesn't surprise me that she still has feelings because, again, I do think by the end of the show that Laurel and Oliver will end up together.
I got feelings for Stephen Amell.
But does it seem a little weird that she got a little verklempt over a relationship that would happened 11 years ago?
It's funny because remember we were talking about that, like, was a few episodes back. We were like, do we think he's going to wind up with Felicity at the end or with Laurel?
It was a Twitter question that came in.
Yes.
And it was in that same episode where we got her really acknowledging, and I was like, wait a minute. It's like all of a sudden, like, it seemed like that whole relationship was done, and it just came out of nowhere. This was like, what, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and all of a sudden we get this scene. So it just seems like maybe they're moving in that direction. Okay. Not saying that they're going to end up together. I think they will. I think 3 out of the 4 of us think that's what's going to happen. But I don't know, love triangle, make things. It is a CW show, so there's going to be a little drama.
You know, I mean, they were, even if he cheated on her, he still at the end of the day loved Laurel.
Yeah.
Right. And they had like a deep, passionate love, and the fact that he fathered a child, I'm sure there's like a little piece of Laurel that's thinking, I wish I would have had Oliver's baby or have Oliver's baby. There's got to be something in there like that. I don't know. Ann?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the only people. Enough time has passed where you would think, but no, I'm with Laurel. I would still be a little emotional about it. And she
After
cried,
a decade.
she cried for a second,
A
and was
decade.
just like, Dad, I can't believe. Okay, I'm over it now. So it wasn't like she was crying for 4 days straight or something. It was let the emotion out, kind of take it in, comprehend, and then move on.
This is why I felt bad for Felicity. That scene when like Oliver's baby's mom was talking to Laurel and they're saying all this stuff. Meanwhile, right behind them is Felicity just sitting there like,
Yeah.
hi guys.
Yeah.
Don't mind
They
me.
did a lot of awkward shots of Felicity, but then cut to
Gosh.
Felicity, and Felicity was just kind of like...
The whole time she's like, I have to hold this in because by the end of the episode, I'm giving you your ring back and I'm walking out the door. So, and she said that, right? She said, I had to keep my emotions in so that we could get through this before I could actually tell you how I felt about this whole damn situation that's happening.
Yeah.
So it was pretty crazy. Flashbacks, you guys. We had like a zombie
I think this was the
hillbilly
best
dude.
flashback we've seen all season.
I did like it.
And it was very short. We saw like the tattoo light up like it was E.T. finger. I thought what do we have, 3 of them? 4
3,
maybe? Like
something
4
like that.
quick flashes?
Yeah,
And then
well,
I
they're
thought they
always
were-
quick because I
yeah.
think if you put them all together, they're literally less than 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really cool because we're finally seeing something happening there besides him just killing brothers of people.
Yeah.
I thought now I'm intrigued by what's in this flashback because I didn't care before. Now I want to know.
Well, and the leader guy. Do you guys know his name?
Ryder.
Ryder. He knows what's going on, right? Like that's why he's kept Oliver around.
Well, I'm going
So
to
it seems so.
assume that the reason why we saw a zombie hillbilly guy in this episode, and the reason why we stole Damien Dark's totem and VIxen's totem, is that there's some sort of totem in that cave. What that totem is, I don't know.
Do we think
Go ahead.
that cave could have something to do with the corn?
It could.
The corn's in the cave.
Why not?
Cave corn, mole people.
But speaking of corn and mole people, I thought Damien Dark killed it in this episode. I thought he was threatening. Like I said, that scene where he walked out from the dark in the beginning, just like
slow
the clap.
clap.
Yeah,
That was great.
His line was like, "Sorry about the limo. Love the new chair." Like that was awesome.
Yeah.
That is bad ace, man.
I mean, let's not forget he forced Oliver to drop out of the race too.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then in the scene where he was doing the force choke, I thought was great.
Yep.
And again, we learned a little piece about him because the idea of the totem, it's like, oh, that makes sense. That's cool. And the little guidelines in the map, I thought was kind of, for me, I thought was a little bit of a reference to Constantine.
Yeah.
Because Constantine used to have a map that was like that and was all about the
right,
evil was
yeah.
on the line. So,
Right.
and since we got a name check of Constantine being literally in hell this episode, I thought that was really funny.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good too.
I will say though, I think that how they destroyed the idol was awesome, but almost a little anticlimactic how they beat Darhk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, there's 7 more episodes
Not
left.
over.
True.
Maybe there's like 15 other totems they have to destroy.
True. Yeah, like Horcruxes.
Yes.
Another Harry
I was
Potter.
thinking
Very
that
Harry
too.
Potter right now.
Because he still has that book thing.
Totally. Yeah, he still have this weird stone map thing that we don't know anything about. But again, we talked a lot about this last week. We were like, how the hell do you beat this guy?
Right.
There's no way to beat this guy. And so I appreciate that we finally got a way to beat this guy.
Oh, totally.
You know?
Yeah.
Totally.
I have a feeling that he's going to either have another totem or he's going to figure out a way to put that totem back together.
Or Merlin's going to come and get that totem and bring it to him. Or
Sure, something like
because
that.
Merlin, he's like, hell hath no fury like a one-armed man scorned. Yeah.
So before we get into the Twitter questions, I have a question for you guys because I've been wondering the purpose of this character the whole entire season, and it's the woman that's with Oliver Queen in the flashbacks. At this point, I mean, tonight at least we hear, writers say, well, let's keep her around because she seems to calm you, or she seems to bring out the good in you, or whatever. Is that her purpose, or is there something else that you guys suspect she's around for?
Josh?
Jason? Yeah, that's a good question. I never really thought about it like that. It always just seems like she's in the background, being kind of like sexy prison girl, being like, "Don't do it." I don't know what that accent is.
No, you did sound like her though.
But now that you mention it, like they're not just gonna keep her around because, like, she's got to have some sort of
That's
purpose.
what I'm saying. She's made
does
the
Oliver
most
fall in love
appearances.
with her? Do they escape the thing together and they start a life on the island?
You want to know the purposes?
Yeah,
Here you go. Here's the purpose.
Here comes
it's because
Genius Boy.
it's because they've had a girl for Oliver every season.
I was hoping you weren't going to say that.
I'm sorry. Look at the flashbacks. We had Shadow in season 1, Sarah in season 2, Katana season 3, and now this girl season 4.
That's right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
CW formula
Yep.
working at its finest there.
Now I'm more interested in next season because if he's probably going to stay on the island. I doubt he leaves the island again because we have to see him at the end of next season with the beard and the arrow and everything like that. Is the girl next season going to be like a pineapple tree? Or is that
He's hallucinating.
Wilson, yeah, exactly.
Wilson.
All right, let's get into our Twitter questions for the week then. Starting with Nick Vargas, who asks, do you think Laurel still has feelings for Oliver even after everything?
Well, we kind of touched on that already. I think there's something there. I think that's where the writers are heading right now. Again, I don't know if that's going to be, his end game, but I mean, it's definitely going to play into this season. And
I think you hit it on the head. I think you're exactly right. Like, I think this might be the start, and we might see maybe something at the end of this season similar to what we saw in season 1, where Oliver and Laurel just did it in the apartment with Tommy watching from outside. I mean, maybe we'll get something like that with Felicity.
Poor Tommy.
But here, the funny thing about it is in the Green Arrow comic books, Oliver's worst enemy is always himself. It's always himself, and he always tends to self-destruct. And there is always these a lot of storylines where him and Black Canary get back together, and they're going great, and then Oliver cheats on her. And then they get back together, and then Oliver cheats on her. So it would not surprise me for something like that to happen before the end of the season.
yeah.
I actually think, yes, I agree with Michael's perception on it. I think they're going to start to build up the whole Laurel deep love for Oliver story. I wouldn't be surprised if Felicity didn't have that kind of attachment. If it was Felicity in that kind of role, I feel like she doesn't have the kind of love for Oliver that Laurel does, and I think it showed tonight with her even having feelings 10 years after.
I think something's going to happen to Felicity now. We don't have to talk grave talk just yet. We know that's at the end. Grave's in the grave.
Well, funny thing about that, the actress Emily Bett Rickards, she said in an interview very recently, I think this week, that she said that she doesn't, because she heard the theory about people talking about how that she's maybe a hallucination, and she was like, I don't even know. That was her answer. She was like, I don't know.
Wow.
But yeah, we'll leave great talk for later.
Because then that would lead us down the pathway of Laurel and Oliver rekindling feelings. Because honestly, I think maybe one of the problems a lot of people have with Laurel, me namely, is that she really doesn't have a purpose within the crew. They haven't really given her much of a storyline since season 1, end of season 1, really. So to give her the love interest of Oliver and to start that love up again, which I'm totally on board with. If they put them back together, I'm on board with it because I really like them as a thing in this show. Her consoling Oliver while Felicity dies is a natural kind of progression in a show like this. So I think, honestly, that and we said it last week, I think that they eventually will end up together. I think that this episode, maybe they planted this little Easter egg in there to get us towards something like that.
Can I throw out a crazy question to the panel? And I'd love to hear all your opinions on this.
Stop asking, can you, and just do it.
Okay, fine. I'm going to do it. Do we think that Felicity's romance with Oliver is sort of a Stockholm Syndrome thing, that she got excited by the danger and working and tearing down crime and mistook that passion for punching criminals in the face for love for Oliver? Do we think that Like, because you said earlier, Ann,
Yeah.
that you don't think that her love is as real as Laurel's. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this.
That's interesting. I think initially, definitely, because you remember she'd be working on a computer and he'd be like working out and stuff like that, and she was like, "Damn,
Yeah.
you know." And I think initially that because she was a nerd, that wasn't her life, you know. And all of a sudden she's thrust into this world. I think it was exciting at first. I'd like to think that as time has gone on, and we're in season 4, that maybe that love has gotten stronger. That it's more genuine. There's something deeper than just that. But I think initially that's probably what it was.
Yeah, I think if that's what it was built on, then when you go back to the root of it, then I think that's still what it was built on. I think Felicity definitely has a different personality than Laurel. In that I think I hate to say it, but I think she's a much stronger character. And while I truly believe she loves Oliver, I think that it's a fleeting love, and that if like I said, if she were in that situation where she's in Laurel's shoes and finding out that she had been cheated on 10 years ago and things like that, I think she would be quickly over it. Whereas I feel like Laurel is the one that has that deep love for Oliver.
I think, it's kind of like when you have a crush on somebody and it's all about that chase. And then finally the chase is over and you're like dating your crush and you're just kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
Because that happens.
I've always thought that Felicity and Ray were like perfect.
Yeah.
So when they broke that off and had her go for Oliver, I was always like, no.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah. I like that.
I guess time will tell.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll know by the end of the season.
Can you do me a favor next time? Make sure you hashtag Collider Arrow when you send in that question. Just really appreciate that.
Okay.
So John Wynn asks.
Okay.
Next question, please. Laura Elms asks, big fan of show, especially Josh Macuga there, who's tagged in this. Does this mean Malcolm is the new head of Hive now?
Josh? Well, it came to me. So
they asked you.
Thanks
You're
for the
only one.
I would imagine he would step into that role. He loves controlling people, like a group of terribly fighting idiots that always get beat up real quick. So I would think I would imagine he'd become the new leader of Hive. He's got to have a little gang of unruly men to
Think about Malcolm. He always has an ulterior motive, right? And I think since he got his hand chopped off, he's looked kind of helpless, and we all know that that's not Malcolm at all. I think he's got, like I said, an ulterior motive. When he handed Damien Darhk the name of William's name, is like, this is what's happening. I think all this was with the intention to bring down Damien Darhk so that he could take charge of Hive, and because remember, he does have Vandal Savage's ashes or whatnot. So I mean, he figured that's gonna be done. There's gonna be a reason for that. At least I think there will be. Yeah. So yeah, definitely I could see that happening. I hope that happens.
I kind of think that Malcolm will try to take over, and then Darhk will slap him down a little bit. I think the more real question about this is, and some people have asked us this online, I think the real question is Darhk going to be responsible for the death in the grave, or is Malcolm going to be responsible for the death in the grave? And I think right now it could be either one.
Yeah.
Well, now that Darhk is what looks like behind bars from next week.
No.
Yep.
Well, and Malcolm clearly stated in tonight's episode, this is all part of my plan, even though like my hand got cut off and it didn't exactly work out the way I was supposed to work out in my head. But still, everything that is happening, Thea, is because I want to protect you and I know what's going on. I know the bigger picture. So I have to believe that if him being head of Hive is part of that, then he's going to do it.
At this point, too, like every time Malcolm says something, we obviously know he's lying, but it somehow like works out to be true. And
Totally.
You're like,
Well, the funniest thing about it is what we saw in a scene tonight. He flat out lied to Thea to her face.
Yeah.
He told her no.
Yeah.
She was like, "Is this true?" And he was like, "No." And we were like, "No, it is."
Yeah. Don't believe him.
Like in that scene where he decided to growl again, like he did to Oliver again. He growled at Thea again. I don't know why they're making that action.
Yeah.
Do we have another question? All right. 11-6 Legit asks thoughts on what Genesis is, and actually, more importantly, I think we wanted to address what's in the cave, or who is in the cave in the flashbacks.
Again, I'd like to think that there's a connection to the corn, because I mean, how long ago did they introduce the corn? How many
At the
episodes back
mid-season
was that?
break. At the
right?
like five episodes back.
Yeah.
And there's been absolutely no mention of that. And again,
I haven't even seen it again.
Yeah.
Nothing. So I mean, I gotta assume that that's the direction they're going in right now with the cave. I mean, the cave's got to have something to do with the totem, like you said earlier, and so there's got to be something there.
I have no idea, you guys. So Batman, I don't know.
I know
I wanna, like,
it's got to
defer to
be
Jason on
it's
this
got to
one.
be a totem.
Right.
It's got to be a totem. Now there are so many magical items in the DC universe that it could be any of them. It could be the Spear of Destiny. It could be like, who the hell knows? What I want it to be is we've already introduced Constantine in this universe. So to me, that sort of says that the Constantine universe is sort of in this continuity, sort of.
Yeah.
We've proven that the VIxen necklace is here. I am crossing my fingers that inside that cave is the helmet of Dr. Fate.
I was just thinking that. You read my mind.
Yeah. Who, if you don't know, Dr. Fate is a Justice Society character who has this gold helmet, puts it on, and you become possessed with the spirit of this lord called Naboo, and he controls your body. You basically become a superhero. I hope it's the helmet of Dr. Fate.
Well, we did see it on Constantine.
Well, you saw Constantine had it in his house.
Yeah, so that'd be a cool connection.
I like this helmet idea.
I just love that the whole season has
Maybe
been focused
Diggle
on
gets that
magic.
as his new helmet.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, once you have it on, can you take it off? Like,
sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't, and you're stuck being this servant of Naboo for the rest of your life.
So it's like the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
But
in
basically,
helmet.
But basically,
Exactly.
if you put on this helmet of Naboo, the helmet of fate, and you are this nexus for this all-powerful god, and you're basically as powerful as Superman.
what?
You're unstoppable.
Wow.
Now, what Korn has to do with that, I don't know.
But is there like another idol in the DC universe or something that like turns ghosts into zombies, but then they see a glowing tattoo and they're like, the penitent man shall pass?
Yeah, what was that?
Not that specifically. No.
Okay.
But like there are so many. I mean, the DC universe is like the DC
Gigantic.
superheroes. There's so much, you know.
Right.
I'll try to do some research when we come back. We have this 3-week break and see what other magical items there could be.
Can we shoot a montage of you doing your research?
Yeah. I mean, there's another idea that there's another idea is that it is the diamond of Eclipso. Which is another thing. If you ever watched the Justice League cartoon, there's this little diamond, and the diamond can possess people, and you sort of become this evil demon, this host for this demon called Eclipso. It could be that. It could be so many things.
So it's like when you give a girl an engagement ring and she becomes Bridezilla, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly like that.
Now, is the show, do you guys feel, because you guys obviously are heavy into the comics as well, do you feel that the show has gone far enough that they could just create something that doesn't exist in the universe or in comics or in anybody's story
Or
that
do they
exists?
stay pretty true to the
Or
universe?
do you think that it's going to be something, like you said, like
What do you think,
something
Michael?
that exists already?
I was gonna say, why
question,
not?
yeah.
We see that in films. We see that in some television shows already. Them taking. I mean, again, I'm going to talk about Marvel. We look at Marvel's films and how they're dealing with like the Infinity Gauntlet and the gems and how they're switching things around a little bit here and there. So I don't see why not. You know, I mean, that's the one good thing. The thing is too, like again, it's not like official, but we see them killing off characters like Waller and things like that. Because again, you've got the cinematic universe and what they're trying to do there. So I understand. So I'm wondering if they're gonna want to create something different so that they're not stepping on each other's toes.
I don't think so. I think it will be something from DC Comics.
You think so?
Because even the thing that really got me hooked in Arrow from the first season was in every single episode of season 1, and you just said you rewatched it.
Yep.
Every mobster, every villain, every character they introduced in season 1 was a name from the comic
Yeah.
book.
That's
and
cool.
they could have just called them Joe Smith at any time.
Right.
But like even Felicity was given the name of a character, a barely known character who was only in like 3 issues from a 1970s Firestorm issue. So like they dug deep for that name.
Wow.
They do it on Flash a lot too.
And they do it on Flash. So to me, that tells me that they may not name it the same thing because, like, you brought up the example of Marvel. And in the comic books, they're called the Infinity Gems. They're not the Infinity Stones. So they could do something like that.
Yeah.
But it'll be something from DC. I guarantee it.
Cool.
Yeah. I think the beauty of the show is that it's just unpredictable, right?
We now have a ton of different what the heck's going on
Yeah,
in this show,
totally.
which I think has really
What's in
made
the grave? What's in the cave?
What's in the grave?
What's in the cave?
What's in the cave? What's in the corn?
What's with the corn?
What's with the corn? man?
And who's that lady with Oliver in the flashbacks? All right, let's get into predictions then, because we have a 3-week break, as Jason
know.
mentioned.
Yeah.
He will be working on a
Cue the Lionel
53-page essay for us,
53-page essay.
Double-spaced, and he will be back to
I
read
better make
that.
a note about that.
Yes.
Get started.
Look up magical items.
We
Set a Google
saw
calendar for it.
Cupid is back in the episode,
whether you like her or not.
March 23rd
She's coming.
episode that we return, whether you love her or hate her.
Well, when the showrunner created that character in the comic book, she's going to show back up.
Yeah.
Andrew Kreisberg, when he wrote A Run of Green Arrow, he created the character Cupid.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know.
That's how you get
I
those
don't really
royalty
care.
checks, baby.
But
Nothing like a weird hot stalker.
I mean,
to
she
get the show
typically
going.
would appear closer to Valentine's Day, though,
would
right?
think.
That's
Yeah,
March
I mean, it would
23rd
make
that she's
sense.
coming back. But anyways, we see her. They talk Genesis predictions for next week's episode, as well as let's get into all of that. Who's in what is what? Grave, cave,
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
So who's in the grave?
Who's in the grave? Brought to you by. So I think I'm still.
Well, we all know who's not in the grave now, right? Can we all agree that it's not William?
Yeah, it's not William.
It's not
Yeah.
William,
Not
and it's
William.
not Mom.
It's not William, not Mom.
They're done, right?
Right.
Thank
I would
goodness.
imagine.
Thank
I don't-
goodness.
Like the fact that she's taking him away, that he doesn't even know. That's a really cool bookend to that thing. I don't think we'll see him again, which is totally fine.
I think they're out of the series for good.
I think so.
Yeah. So kids not in the grave. All those YouTube commenters that said I'm an idiot because they kill kids all the time. Jesus.
That's great.
So I'm gonna stick with Thea in the grave. I've said it the last few weeks. I'm still sticking with Thea in the grave. There weren't like last week. Remember we had, like I said, the hot tub time machine moments where each time they're like, that's not the grave. So I'm sticking with Thea. There weren't really any at all this week as far as like almost deaths.
Yeah, there was.
Who?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say like you were talking about, like last week they talked about how they alluded to Thea, like, oh, she almost got stuck in the hallway.
Right.
Well, this week we had Malcolm Merlin being like, you don't have any idea how many times you could have died, and I saved you.
Oh yeah. So maybe see. I'm sticking with Thea, man. I'm sticking with Thea. Vegas, Thea.
All right, who's in the grave? I'm still going with Diggle, but there's no indication that Diggle's in the grave. Every episode I watch, I'm like,
I like your gumption, Ann. You're sticking to your
there's
guns.
no percentage. If we went to Vegas to bet on this, it would be like 0.01% for Diggle, but I'm just going to stick with it because he's the one that I feel like would make that type of impact from that flash forward scene that we saw where they're in the limo. Barry coming out to the funeral, Oliver and Felicity feeling that emotional. There's only a few
Diggle
people who
wasn't
can do
Flash
that.
this week.
Yes, he was.
And
Yeah.
him and Barry had some touching moments.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they did.
Yep. I'm sticking with Lance again. Thea makes sense, but it's like I want this death to mean something. I don't want to see it coming, and I feel like if it's Thea, they're telegraphing the hell out of it, and I don't want to see that. So I'm going to stick with Lance.
Even though I originally episode 1 I was on a Lance train, I'm sticking. Me and Josh are simpatico on this. I think
Thea
it's
Queen.
Thea. I really think it's Thea. That whole Malcolm scene to me was a whole scene about like, I'm gonna stop watching you, and because of that, you're dead.
Yeah.
All right. Any predictions for when we get back? We'll just see what happens.
Mole people?
Genesis?
Mole
Josh,
people.
mole people in
Yep.
Genesis? Yeah, what the hell is Genesis, everybody? And we never heard that. We all went around in a big
Oh, you
panel.
did?
And we told what we thought Genesis is.
Did you get
What
m-
do you think,
It
Genesis?
was
hear
this
about my
group
Genesis?
in the 80s, I think.
Yeah, Josh came up with a
You
theory.
already did that. Okay.
They can't dance. They can't stand. They can't talk, but they can walk.
Honestly,
Genesis guy.
I have no idea. I just feel like it's a group you don't want to F with. You don't want to mess with them, right?
It's a secret society of mole people.
Like seriously, I would love to get some form of the new gods, in this. That would be so cool. Again, I don't know. I feel like they're more Flash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it would be cool to get them on this. I mean, I don't know.
I'm throwing out a crazy theory. Like I said, I would love the Helmet of Fate. I don't know if that's my prediction or not. I think whatever is in that cave, it will show up in modern day and will become the new totem of Damien Darhk and Malcolm. And Damien Darhk and Malcolm will fight over that totem. And so I think Oliver will, because I think what they'll do is they'll show us a scene in, I don't know if it'll be the Cupid episode or whatever. I think we'll see a scene where Oliver sees this thing and is like, I know exactly what that is. And then we'll flash back and we'll see them find it in the cave.
Yeah.
Well, the Dr. Fate thing makes a lot of sense because Flash is more sci-fi, the multiverse and
Which
what
is
they
more
do.
New Gods, New Gods sci-fi.
Exactly. Whereas with Olive, with Green, with Arrow, it's more mysticism. So the Dr. Fate thing makes a lot of sense if that's what we get introduced to the helmet. Hell, if we get introduced to the character, it'd make a lot of sense for me to have that in the show.
Okay.
All right. Well, there better be somebody in the grave, and there better be something in the cave. That's all I have to say.
Cave watch.
3 weeks until we're back for our next recap show. You guys, make sure you continue to tweet us your theories and questions and all that good stuff. We will be online and checking during this break. Make sure to leave a comment as well as like this video and share it and retweet it and all that good stuff. So we look forward to chatting with you during the 3-week hiatus. And until March 23rd, you guys, where can people follow you, Josh?
Hey, yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh Macuga, my YouTube channel Between the Sheets TV, and I'd like a special message here for Clark Wolf. I've been challenged on the Schmodown. Clark, I'm coming for you. I'm not scared. I'm the #1 contender. Bring it, okay?
Damn. Michael?
Okay, none of you guys helped me find my son last week. So screw you guys. No, I'm just kidding. I love you. But you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Michael Alexis and on Instagram at Mr. Michael Alexis 14.
Jason.
You can find me on Twitter at Jawan, on YouTube.com and Instagram, the same spelling. You will see lots of pictures of me going to DC Comics and knocking on the door and being like, hey, can I read that comic book from 1965? Because I need to know what this little trinket thing is, because I got to prove to Josh that mole people don't exist.
And we're all looking forward to your essay when we get back from the break as well.
You've got homework, Jason.
You guys can follow me at Ann Campea, and make sure you continue to tweet us using the hashtag Collider Arrow. So until March 23rd, you guys, hood up.